Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, we have with us a very special guest. His name is Lavois Cruickshank. A simple yet ambitious young man, Lavois has the incredible dream of positively impacting and inspiring a nation. The Spanish Town native lives by a philosophy posited by Jared Kintz: whether you live to be 50 or 100 makes no difference if you've made no difference in the world. And with this as his motivation, Lavois aims to use his abilities, gifts, and skills to make a difference. He is currently serving as a Jamaica House Fellow at the Office of the Prime Minister in Kingston, Jamaica. Lavois prides himself in excellence, committing wholeheartedly to any duty or task. With his deep interest in finance, economics, and strategic planning, Lavois pursued a BSc in Economics and Banking and Finance at the University of the West Indies. He also holds an MSc in Financial Economics from the University of Birmingham. With an immense love for tennis and a passion for nation development, Lavois actively serves as a math tutor at his alma mater, Calabar High School in Kingston, Jamaica, as a volunteer with the Jamaica National Foundation, as an ambassador of the Governor General's I.B.I initiative. So without further delay, welcome Lavois.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So Lavois, just to give a little background to our listeners, I was privileged to have the opportunity to hear Lavois speak in front of an audience of 300 plus last week around this time. As we celebrate National Customer Service Week, he was invited as a special guest on a panel of people who are probably twice his age. But he really commanded great attention and was able to really, wow the people who are listening, including myself. Hence why I extended this wonderful invitation for him to join us on the podcast. Now, I know many of you are probably thinking, finance, economic, strategic planning, a little bit too much where, customer experience. But what he spoke about really touched me at the core. And I believe there are a lot of things that we can learn from him in helping to make ourselves better and be better customer service providers. So, Lavois, I want you to share with us a little bit about your journey, how you, got into what you're doing now, and why is it you're doing it? What's your purpose?
Very rough question to start. So I grew up in a family that encouraged excellence. Excellence in the sense that, growing up through school, you were required to just do well. It was not an option, it was just mandatory. So I grew up with two teachers as parents, and I grew up with church parents as well. So there's the balance of the academics, and there's the balance of, the school and the spiritual parts of it as well. And so I had to just focus during school. So I started off in primary school, Calabar for high school, and then it was just a natural transition in tertiary education at the UA. I just always had an interest in finance. I grew up watching TV, particularly Owen James's On a Personal Note, and I just thought finance is probably something I'd want to get into. And then it was about money, so it was just very interesting. So I knew from then that I would want to be working in a bank, wearing a jacket suit, something of the sort, and that was what really motivated me at the time. But then growing up in Calabar, I was inspired by an economics teacher who just had so much passion in sharing her knowledge with us. And so I think it was because of her why I chose to do economics at UA. And then I did well at UA, surprisingly. I was not the amazing student in entering, but because I loved economics so much, it became just second nature. And I just did well at it. And now I'm here serving as a fellow at the Office of the Prime Minister. What we do is that we're pushed into different projects to assist wherever we can. So now I'm actually assigned to the National Export-Import Bank of Jamaica, which is the Exim Bank, working in strategic planning, just allowing or assisting where I can in the bank achieving its goals.
Amazing. So in dealing with the Exim Bank, I'm sure you have to deal with a lot of international people, true?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sure.
so, even not just from a national perspective, what is your view on customer service and customer experience? I mean, when you attended the conference last week, did you even know that there was a National Customer Service Week?
When I got the invitation was when I actually knew that there was even a customer service association. To be
Wow.
honest, I had that a customer service association existed. So much so, a customer service week. Um, but the question was, what is my view on customer service and service excellence as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we are transitioning as an economy from just a manufacturing point of view, and we have now transitioned into services. We're in a service-led industry or economy where services are really taking up a large portion of what we do generally. I find that as well, service has become almost as a science. It is what differentiates you because everybody offers pretty much the same goods and services. And if you're not able to differentiate yourself in this very competitive market, it really is difficult for you to survive. And so I think service excellence and just the service that you offer is key in the longevity of a business.
All right. So you said set yourself apart and make yourself different. Now, as a customer yourself, because we're all customers, could you maybe give me 1 to 3 things that maybe you've experienced, whether it be locally or internationally, of a business that really made it different for you, that you were like, wow, I think I'd come back here again?
Oh, I'd have to think back to. One of the things, I'm a little different. I don't like interacting that much, which is a sad case in some senses, but I like being able to just go in, get what I want and leave. And so the easier you make that process for me, is the better. So if there's no hassle in getting what I want, if there's no long lines, if there are no long amount of persons to speak to in getting whatever I want from you as a company, then it makes it easier for me. I actually remember studying in the UK, and it's not particularly one provider of a service, it's just how easy it is to do anything that you want to. In that, if there's something that you want, you can always know that the option is online. And that is what I found was the difference between the UK and Jamaica. Everything is so much easier to do because it's online. And I find as a young person, and especially as a tourist somewhat, because I was a student, it would not have been easy for me to find certain places or to know where to look for certain things. I just had to Google it. And it made sense because I could just purchase it there online and have it shipped to me. So I think that was what made the difference between my Jamaican experience in terms of shopping and my UK experience. Everything was just there for me to find online. So I think that was one major thing that has caught me with, shopping or purchasing anything. No.
Great. So one of our guests a couple of months ago, he wrote a book called The Effortless Experience. Mm-hmm. And it's really been something that I've thought about for a very long time in terms of what customers are looking for. And a lot of times, not just yourself, even other people that I've interviewed or just generally having conversation, people are actually looking for, as you said, an experience that requires them to put in as little effort as possible, which is why the online is such a remarkable experience for most people, because if you can do the transaction literally, at your office desk, or while you're sitting in a doctor's office with your kid waiting to see the dentist, or while you're sitting in an airport waiting to catch a flight, it makes your life that much easier. True?
True.
So one of the things that we look to explore in interviewing guests is to find out if in your experiences, both locally and internationally, are there things that you would recommend to businesses, especially small business owners? Maybe tips that you would recommend that would help to make that experience effortless for their customers?
It's a little bit difficult, particularly because in the local sphere, we're not necessarily at that place where we could market online things. We are somewhat behind the world in that particular sense. But it's not. It wouldn't hurt for us to still push to get there. I think if we can market our things online and allow transactions to happen, I think the Prime Minister himself is trying to get us to that place where we're an economy. E-economy meaning we're just doing everything digitally, and it allows for transactions to be easily done, quicker, and that's transaction costs being saved, and that's us being more efficient. apart from being online, you want to be everywhere. Your customers are everywhere. You want to be on all social media networks as well. And this links back to the presentation that I did at the Customer Service Association. What it speaks to is us as millennials being your major target markets. We are reaching our spending peaking years. And so we're going to be in your faces. We're going to be your customers. And so what you have to do as a strategy to reach us as millennials is to just be everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, social media, anywhere that you can possibly be, that you know your market will be, you should be. If you can provide a self-service, if there's something that you can implement in your organization that allows the customer to just go in and to come out as quickly as possible to just get what they want from you and leave, I think that would be very good to implement. Anything else, probably just be personal, understand that each customer's need is probably different. And so how you interact with each one of us will make a difference as well. And then answer quickly. In case we have any queries or not, just be very quick about it, because we are very impatient. And as customers, we want it and we want it now. So those are probably just 1, 2, 3 tips that I could probably offer to any organization that wants to just make it effortless for their customers.
Very nice. I like those tips. Now, why do you think, I heard you say in your response a while ago that people want things now. Why do you think people want things now versus 10, 15 years ago?
I think that's just how we are. Comes to our head and we just want it now. And I think that's just the general nature of man. Instant gratification is what we desire. And I think our want for something now is just very natural. We get satisfaction from having it now, and the impatience is not something that we can work with.
Do you think technology has definitely helped to propel that desire?
I think so. I definitely think so. I think technology has allowed us to access things very quickly, quicker than we thought possible initially. And because we are now used to technology granting us what we desire quickly, I think it now has become second nature that we just want it because it can happen.
I know.
Actually has propelled us to that kind of mindset where it needs to happen and it needs to happen now.
Agreed.
It can also be a bad thing, but it's a good thing in a sense.
True. And the reality is, as I say to people generally, customer experience is constantly evolving. So we're here discussing, what customers want now, but 5 years from now, it's probably going to be completely different from what we're discussing now. The customer is driving that whole change. Back in the day when there was no social media and you basically had to just probably complain via writing or, state any challenge that you have via writing, you really didn't have much power, because if nobody knows that you wrote the letter. But the customer has so much power now with social media that they can blast a company, whether they're doing well or they're not doing so well, on any of these platforms, and it literally reaches millions of people in seconds.
Yeah. And it changes how they view the company as well.
Yes, it really, really does. All right. So could you share with us, how do you stay motivated every day?
That's a very good question. I grew up being, and I think this is how I ended up in strategy planning, because I just always had a plan in my head. And I don't know what drove that plan, but there was always something in the back of my head saying, this is what I want to do next. This is what I want to do next. So I remember even going to high school or going into UE, I would just simply plan out the courses that I want to do. From first year, I would know what I want to do in second year, what I want to do in third year, what I'm going to do after the degree. And so there's always a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year plan. But I think there was something in the back of my head where I see myself, I see myself being successful. I see myself making some impact in Jamaica locally and probably even the world. I just see myself doing things. And because I have it in the back of my head, I know I get up every day knowing that this is just a next step towards getting where I want to go. I don't think I'm satisfied with where I am. So I believe that dissatisfaction somewhat is what drives me. At the same time, I grew up with parents who gave everything they had for their kids. I've seen my father work with entities that he did not like, that he did not enjoy. He endured jobs that, he probably wouldn't have wanted to do just because he had children to see through life. And so because of the contribution from my parents, I could not take that for granted. So I know that there's something for me to do to allow my father and my mother to enjoy the life that they wanted. At the same time, there's so much that we can change and there's so much that we can impact. I feel like work in itself is not necessarily what you bring to the table, but how you make people feel. And so there's so much that we can do that I think keeps motivating me day by day.
All right. So you spoke a lot about, that internal drive that you have, your desire to always succeed, to want more. What if you have employees in your organization who they don't have that natural drive that you have? And there are certain goals that you have put down for the company. As you said, you have 1-year goals, 2-year goals, 5-year goals, but they're not pulling their weight. They're not creating that level of culture where your customers are feeling satisfied. And so your internal customer culture is not where you want it to be. What advice would you give to a business owner who had that kind of dynamic?
But I think I've probably experienced that before. Where there's somebody internally or people internally who don't necessarily have the same drive that you have. And I think from my own experience, I think what you need to do is to understand your own employees, first of all, because it's not that it might be eluding them. It's just that you're probably not bringing the same message across very well. And so what I encourage people to do is to look internally to see if there's something else that you can do to make that difference. So maybe it is that you just need to find out how that person operates and then do something else out of the ordinary that would probably get the reaction that you want and that kind of energy going forward with the business strategy. And if that doesn't work, it's how you interact with them as well. So if it is that your own enthusiasm about it cannot bring out that same enthusiasm in them, I'm not sure what else can be done, but I think there is an internal approach that needs to take place first to kind of look at who the person is, how they operate, and then try your best to get that same enthusiasm out of them. I think everybody has that side to them, and it's just how you unveil it.
Very nice. All right. Now, Lavois, could you share with us if you actually have an online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely couldn't live without in your own business or in your own way of operating daily?
Let's go again with that question.
What's the one, if you have one, online resource, tool, website, or even an app that you absolutely cannot live without on a daily basis, either in your business or in operating?
I think WhatsApp is a very good tool, and it's not only for like personal social media vibes. It is also my way of finding out information. This is how you keep current. And it's surprising. A lot of people would not even realize that a lot of the information that you hear or find out comes from social media platforms. I think WhatsApp, Facebook, all of these social media platforms allow us as millennials, in a sense, or even everybody to kind of keep up to date because the news is always there. Mm-hmm. And so us as millennials don't necessarily read newspapers. I mean, I have to do it. And I ensure that I do it to keep up. But at the same time, the same news that would be translated in print is on social media. It's on the platform. So it forces us to kind of be up to date with information. So I think any social media platform is definitely necessary for me.
Okay. So you're current in all.
All. Just by social media.
All right. Could you share with us maybe 1 or 2 books that have had the biggest impact on you?
That's a very good question. To be honest, I'm not a fan of reading. I'm not, surprisingly. If it's not succinct, it's a little bit difficult. One particular book that has had some impact on me is a book that I actually read a very long time ago. It's called The Purpose-Driven Life. And I think it was by Rick Warren. And it's a more spiritual side in terms of reading. It was just me trying to find out what it is that I was here to do. What was my purpose here and what impact I could make. But apart from general reading, I love reading quotes and inspirational messages. And the one that I have put before, you've mentioned it in the bio, was Jared Kintz. And what Jared Kintz said was, whether you live to be 50 or 100 really makes no difference if you've made no difference in the world. And that has hit me so much because I realized if you are just here on earth and not really making any difference, then your life really makes no difference because you're not impacting anybody's life. And I feel like we are here and we're here to make so much of a change in this world that we should just always attempt and aim at that. And so if you're not making a difference, then what purpose really does your life serve?
Amazing. Imagine if you asked yourself that question on a daily basis, how much you could possibly achieve.
Right. And we have so much potential to impact anybody very simply, just by even a smile, you would not even believe how much a difference that can make.
Very true. Very true. And it doesn't take anything to smile with somebody. It takes nothing at all. Now, Lavois, could you share with us one thing that's going on in your life right now? Either something that you're working on to develop yourself, or something that, a project that you're working on, just something that you're working on that you're really, really excited about.
Okay. So on my most recent birthday,
happy belated birthday.
Thank you. It was a very long time ago though. But just, I decided to create a theme for my birthday, which was no fear, no pride, no compromise. And what the theme tried to do was basically to encourage me to go after everything that I wanted to do. I grew up with a lot of pride in a sense, which kind of hindered me from doing a lot of things because I was afraid of what people would think and how they'd see me. At the same time, that was the fear component, that was the pride component, and there is no compromise, meaning I would not give up who I really am to achieve anything that I want. I mean, I have so many goals, but there's so many routes to get there. But I don't want to give up who I really am, and I'm not going to compromise who I am to get there. So I'm very excited about this new journey. I have executed a few things that I've really wanted to do, and I've gotten over the fear of doing them simply because, I thought people would see me in a particular light. And it feels very good to just go after your dreams. So for this birthday, I created that theme, no fear, no pride, no compromise, and I'm just trying to accomplish whoever I want to be in this life.
Very good. Brilliant. Excellent. So our listeners are probably going to want to get in touch with you after this interview is finished. Where can they find you online? And I know you said you're all places.
Well, to be honest, I'm not really all places. Social media is such a hard platform to learn. I keep it limited because, the information there can be used anywhere. So you have to be safe. So for now, I'm simply on Facebook. And I use my name, my very real name, Lavois Cruickshank. So that's Lavois space Cruickshank. And then if you just simply Google me, I think there's probably a few more avenues to reach me.
Very good.
On LinkedIn as well, with my real name as well.
On LinkedIn, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. Now, before we wrap up our interview, I know you shared one already, but it was so good we want another one. We always ask our guests at the end of our interviews if they could share with us one quote or saying that during times of adversity, they revert back to this quote and it helps to keep them centered and motivated. Apart from the one you shared at the beginning, is there any other that you may have that you'd like to share with us, since you did say that you are an avid quote person?
Yeah. Any other quote? Well, it's not necessarily a quote. It's just something I used to refer to when times get really hard, because these things happen when it's just so. And I think it's probably in a quote somewhere. I think it says, "What man has done before, man can do again," or something of the sort, which pretty much speaks to us being able to overcome any particular situation. What I do in my very difficult times is to think about other people who have overcome the same struggle or the same situation, and then draw strength from that. And I think it makes it easier on us because it gives us a certain level of courage to kind of still go through this particular battle that we're having. So if you're going through something very difficult, if you're going through something that you think is very challenging, I encourage you to think about other people who have gone through the same struggle and how they've overcome, and then draw strength from them as well. Amazing.
Beautiful. Wow. So Lavois, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to share with our listeners globally about your views on customer experience, some tips on what business owners can use to make the difference in their business to set themselves apart. Because, as you said before, the services, products, and commodities are pretty much the same. So it's really how you differentiate that experience with each and every person that you interact with on the many different platforms that we operate from as a business. And of course, your quotes that you've shared with us that will hopefully help to motivate someone out there that is maybe having a challenging experience, a challenging time, that can help to bring them to the point of success that they'll be able to overcome and look back and say, I did it.
So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just to remind our listeners that you can follow us on Facebook in our closed Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And also feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. So until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant. We really appreciate your support of this podcast. Are you ready to grow your business even more? Or improve your leadership skills? Or train your team members in the art of customer service? Give us a call at 305-848-0815 or visit our website at www.yaniquegrant.com. That's YANIQUEGRANT.com. Remember, 305-848-0815 or visit our website at yaniquegrant.com. Our new online course, Mastering Customer Experience and Increasing Your Revenue, is now available. The link for this will be on the show notes of each episode starting September 7, 2016. The first 2 modules are free, so hop on over, have a look, and take the steps to increase your revenue.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.